One. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Filling Your Cup. I'm your host, David.
And I'm your other host, Calvin. What's up, everybody?
And today we're going to talk about our favorite subject, finance and personal finance. We're going to talk about the 401k. You know, what's a 401k, different types of 401k, and the power of the 401k. So let's get us started. Boom.
All right. So a 401k plan is a plan that is offered by most employers. It is a tax advantage defined contribution retirement account offered by your employers. So there's two types of 401ks, a Roth 401k and a traditional 401k. So a Roth 401k is contributions or money that you put in after taxes. So you could grow that pot of gold, that pot of money, and when you take it out, it's tax free. But compared to a traditional 401k, contributions made are pre-taxed. So an immediate advantage of that is you could reduce your current adjusted gross income. So you can get down on the lower tax bracket if you are close.
Okay.
If you were to take it out, withdrawals for the 401k, Roth 401k are not taxed again. And you could withdraw if the account's been held for 5 years. Traditional 401k are taxed, and distributions may be penalized if taken before age 59 and a half, unless you have one of those special requirements. So unlike a Roth IRA, the Roth 401k, you can now withdraw contributions at any time you choose. So next slide, please. So again, the 401k is offered by your employer, right? So if let's say you quit your job, you moved on to greener pastures, what can you do? So 4 options, but you're not limited to those options, but 4 main options are: you could take your money, highly not recommended, because why are you taking your investments that you're growing in your account? So, but that's an option for you. But number 2, you could roll it over to an IRA account, which is your personal Roth IRA account.
IRA, I mean, depending on which one you have.
Your Roth IRA account. So for that, advantage of that is, so for your current Roth IRA account, your annual yearly contribution limit is only $6,000. However, so let's say you maxed out your employer Roth IRA account, which is $19.5 thousand. You could roll it over and combine that to, let's say, a $26,000 annual contribution. So you could kind of bypass that loophole for the $6,000 of your personal Roth IRA and increase that pot to invest in and grow that year if you leave your job. So one huge advantage of that loophole, if you will. Number 3, you can leave it on your old employer. Your employer will still be responsible for it, but your employer won't be able to contribute it anymore. Or again, you could roll it over and move it to a new employer at your new job, if your employer offers the 401k.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Calvin always is mentioning Roth 401k, but this applies to Roth and traditional. So if at your employer you have a traditional 401k, when you roll it over to your traditional IRA. I believe you could roll it over to your Roth IRA if you paid taxes on it, but talk to your tax accountant on how that works. But usually that's why when you set it up, you should start out with a Roth 401k, so you don't need to worry about that transition piece. So next, so let's talk about like a little bit like just the power of compound interest, right? So I have a chart here, and this chart just kind of shows you, starting at the beginning. So at 23, there's two columns. One is no growth, and one's 8% growth. And this is in terms of 401k, right? If you contribute 8,000 to it, you save $8,000. But then so the next year when you contribute the $19,500, no growth, you know, you're just adding 19.5 to the 8,000, which no growth, that doesn't do anything. But it's never gonna be no growth. But I guess this chart just kind of show no growth. But at 8%, 8%, you'll have 29,700. So as you look at each age bracket, right? By the time you hit 65 on an average of 8% growth a year, I think right now, I think the last 20, 30, 40 years, the average is around 7 to 9%. So this is like a fair assessment. You will have $6.6 million, and you contributed basically 827,000 over the course of the, was that 40 years? So so that's kind of like the power of compound interest. And what this chart doesn't show you is an employer contribution as well, because this is only the employee side. If you add in the employer portion of it, it's even going to be more. And the average, the average matching contribution from the employer is 4.3% of the person's pay, and everything varies, right? You might be in the lucky top echelon where they match 5-6%, or maybe on the lower ones where they match 3%. So it really depends on the employer. But this kind of show you, if you start at in your 20s, and by the 85, you max out your 401k. It doesn't have to be 401k, but if you max out it doesn't have to be a Roth or traditional, but if you max out your 401k, 800,000 in investment can get you an upwards of $6 million potential nest egg. And that right there was the Wolf of Wall Street, when he was selling the penny stock, upwards of $6 million. I thought that's kind of funny, silly. All right. I just kind of show you the power of compound interest, right? And so how does matching work? So there's kind of like two ways of how employers can do it. Employers can offer 100% match, and they can say 100% match 3% of your annual salary, right? So if you make $60,000 a year, the maximum amount of your employer will contribute to your nest egg is $1,800. Fair? And to maximize this benefit, you have to contribute $1,800 in order to receive the $1,800 from your employers. And if you contribute more than $1,800, those amount will be unmatched. Fair is fair, right? And there's a second way of doing it. Employer can do, I'll match 50% of your contribution, but then your contribution equals to 6% of your annual salary, right? So same example, $60,000, 6% of your annual salary is $3,600 for the year. But then since they're only matching 50%, right? The contribution limit's the same, $1,800. But the difference is you will have to contribute twice as much in order to get the $1,800 from your employer. So you will have to contribute $3,600 to get the $1,800. I mean, either way, it's about the same, but ideally you want the 100% match, because if you don't want to match, if you don't want to contribute more than what your employer is willing to contribute, it's better to just do the 1,800 if that's what your goal is, right? You just want whatever they give you, versus the 3,600 you have to contribute twice as much. But either way, you should contribute as much as possible to 401k, because that's kind of like your retirement, right? You can't depend on the government to keep you afloat when in retirement. So yeah, 401k is a really good tool to help you with retirement. So let's talk about it. Calvin, what do most Americans on average have in their 401k? So looking at the balances, right? So in reality, if you're 22 to 25, $4,000 on average, the median is 1.4k. Sounds about right. That's fair, right? That's fair. When you're like late 20s in your 30s, 20K in your 401k balance, and 8,000 in median average. I think the 20K it's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It's fair because when people start off, depending on your job, you might not have the high income to max out your 401k, so that's fair. But as you look down the list, right? In reality, most people at 65 in the 401k they only have about 192k on average, and the median is only 58k. So this is why we have like a retirement crisis, because then the assumption was, on average, we should have 422,000 in their 401 account, and the median is 165, which that doesn't really matter. So the issue with this is, even at 400k the assumption, that is not really enough to retire. I mean, it is enough to retire depending on your lifestyle, right? Do you go on vacations? Do you go eat a lot? What's your plan? Do you plan to? This is what I don't really get, Calvin. People get a job after they retire. I don't really get that, but if you plan on doing that, you might need less money. But like, major cost of living at the older age is your medical expense, right? And one medical expense can kind of drain your whole account. So this is kind of like what the brokerage see right now, and Americans are lacking behind. Like, if you in the lower echelon, if you have 200k saved at 65, 200k is still a lot of money, right? Because they're saying right now a lot of Americans, they can't even come up with like $5,000 in case of emergency. So if you do have 200k saved up, that's still quite a bit of money. And I'm not saying you can't live off that. You can move to like the countryside, somewhere really rural, somewhere where it's cheaper, So yeah, Calvin, what's your thoughts on this whole 401k thing?
Man, I agree. I'm not gonna work forever. You're not gonna work forever. So what are you gonna do when you don't work? When you don't have that streams of income, right? So you gotta build that nest egg right now. You gotta save smart. You gotta invest smart. So you get prepared. So stay ready. Stay ready. So you have to get ready. So build that nest egg. So one of the I'm surprised to see what the reality is. It's the shocking reality of America right now. It's I don't know what they're gonna do when Medicare runs out. It's scary. What's gonna happen, right? What's personally, what would you choose if you were to have a traditional or a Roth 401? What would you choose, Dave?
For me personally, currently I don't max out my 401k yet because it's $19,000. Even though it's still a lot of money, and I do have expenses. I do have bills to pay. I got just bills. But for me, I personally do the 401k because, as you can tell, with the new presidency, like everything's unknown. Everything's unknown. Yeah. I don't want to leave my taxable gains to I don't want to leave it up to the unknown, right? Because if it's in the Roth 401k, I know all my gains are tax free. The government cannot touch my money. No, you cannot touch my money, right? But if I have the regular traditional, I might save a couple thousand on my taxable income for the current year. But in the long run, like for example, right? Go back to the example. If you turn your 800k investment into 6.6 million, and by the time you retire, if the tax rate is not favorable to you and they tax say 40% on that, you just lost out on $2 million on gains. Like, whoa, I that $2 million gains, $2 million gains. You know how many McDonald's McChicken burgers I can have with that? Probably not that much, but because by inflation, it won't cost $1 anymore. It might cost $10 by time of 65. So I don't want to leave anything to the government. I don't want to leave any chances to the government. So I do the Roth 401k. So I know what I'm paying in taxes on my gains, which is $0. And that's kind of what it is. The only reason most people will use the Roth 401k, right, Calvin? But the only reason they use the traditional one is if they make too much money and they don't qualify for the Roth 401k. So that's the only reason that I will allow you to do the traditional one. But then otherwise, I think you stick with the Roth, because once you go Roth, you will fluff. I don't know, man. So what about you, Cal? What do you do?
Yeah, same here. I do the Roth because I don't know what type of tax hikes the future leadership, future presidency will do, just to, again, save money now. I mean, I'm not borderline in the income, adjusted gross income tax brackets anyway, so I don't make enough money to have to worry about getting below the tax bracket. So Roth all the way. Roth all the way.
Right? So yeah, so I guess like if your employer offers a 401k and you're not participating in it, you're losing out on a lot of money. Well, if they just say for the example, if you make $60,000, they contribute up to 3%, you're missing out at least $1,800, which is still $1,803. And if you're not contributing to your 401k, that means you're not really contributing to your retirement, which, I mean, there's always exception to the rule, right? Because you could be using all your money to buy investment properties. That's another vehicle of investing. That's totally fine. But at least if your employer offers this and they offer a match, at least contribute enough to get the match, because that's free money. You know how they say there's no such thing as free money? Here is free money. Free money for you.
Free.
TurboTax. Oh, yo, we gotta get sponsored for that, because TurboTax is not free. They are selling a false advertisement. It is not free. It's free when I began my application, but by the end of the application, I had to pay a fee. Liars. But I still use TurboTax because, $150 to file taxes. Because like they said, if anything happens, it's their fault if I pay for the premium package, which I don't pay for that. So it's still my fault. But it's still, it's still convenience, man. It's still easier to follow that for now. Let's not get sidetracked. But then yeah. So Calvin, any final thoughts, closing thoughts on this 401k?
Be smart with your money. Not every employer offers a 401k. So if you are one of those lucky ones, take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Please let us know, thoughts, and like, comment, and subscribe, because we're doing this for fun. It's all good, man. Just as long as we get some viewers, it's all good. So yeah, until next time, catch us on the next hot take, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.